This week on Inside Boulder News, firefighters race across town without ever leaving the safety of the station. Trees and people get a second chance. And Boulder is setting a course to save energy and reduce harmful emissions. Welcome to Inside Boulder News, your chance to share your stories, get involved, and keep up to date on all things Boulder. I'm Kristen Scovira. Well, the Boulder Public Library's makerspace is not just repurposing old trees, it's giving new purpose to those who need it most, ex-cons who at times found themselves without hope. Usually at a library. Make noise like this, and you'll get shushed. But the Makerspace, a workshop tucked inside the Boulder Public Library, looks more like a machine shop than a reading room.
I made 3 different pictures, one for my mom, one for my dad, and one for my sister.
You're looking at a craftsman in training. 29-year-old Richard Tomter didn't know he had it in him.
I did not know I was creative. That's also new to me.
Richard says he doesn't like to focus on his old life.
I regret the things that I did in my past.
A life that landed him behind bars. Instead, this Colorado native is taking this piece of reclaimed ash wood and turning it into something better.
My mom will be especially proud of me.
Richard is part of the Bridge House Ready to Work program, where he's making himself better too.
Most of the time it's ash wood.
It's called Tree Debris to Opportunity. Members of the class learn woodworking and, hopefully, self-sufficiency, a ticket out of homelessness and often loneliness.
It helps when there's some people here that are on the same page as you, so you don't feel so lonely when somebody like her and me have been to prison and we're both getting that second chance to try and start over.
Just looking at her, you wouldn't know. Maria Carrillo Garcia has spent half of her life in prison. She's 38.
I said, I just got my nails done. You know, some people, they get like this look on their face like, oh my God, you were in prison, you know? Other people are very curious and they want to know because once they meet me or talk to me and get to know me, they're like, you were in prison? Like, you don't fit the description.
Maria says it certainly wasn't her upbringing.
I come from a pretty good family, military and law enforcement. And so me making poor choices wasn't the best thing, always. And they're really happy to have me back.
Back from a life of addiction and lies.
Like I would say or do things like, yeah, I'm doing this, I'm doing that. But I never really was. I was just verbalizing things so it sounded good. I mean, I've lived sober before, but I've never tried to be sober. My sister has adopted and has been raising my children.
She wants them to know she hasn't given up and has carved out a new passion.
How to take something straight from the mill and make it into a piece of furniture or into a bowl or into a chopping block or to a beautiful ornament or something is pretty cool because there's a lot of accomplishment and pride in it when you're done.
Maria says now her good mood comes from a natural high, one that lasts.
Knowing how to live without it, you know, being sober.
So what's a little library noise?
Like I would have never known this was in the back of a library.
And you made designing butterflies? Yeah. Yeah.
Like the butterfly, these two know change doesn't come easy, but with practice, they can make their lives beautiful again. The members of this first Tree Op class sold more than $3,000 in handmade Christmas ornaments at the Boulder Farmers Market. For more information, visit treeop.org. We've all seen first responders racing across town, cops and firefighters driving their vehicles through heavy traffic. It's no easy task. But now advancements in virtual reality are allowing drivers to practice their maneuvers without ever leaving the safety of the garage. It looks like a wild ride.
We're good, we're getting back on course.
But these drivers never leave this trailer, a fire truck simulator parked at Boulder's Fire Training Center.
Fire apparatus.
The simulated fire truck has real-life seating and controls.
I like the apartment fire. It's one of the longer ones.
Multiple scenarios and weather events can be programmed, so drivers can practice their skills in the rain and snow without taking on any actual risk.
Turn the key and start the engine when you are ready to begin.
It's not limited to firefighters. In fact, drivers can practice with a variety of first response vehicles, including ambulances and patrol cars.
It's counterintuitive. The air is keeping the brakes, the pads off of the rotors.
The simulator is brand new. Fire Station 8, Boulder's Regional Fire Training Center, is one of the first in the state to roll out this new program.
Usually a red light on a dash and either a horn or a beep or a buzzer if you're getting low on air, and it's to prevent you from locking up the brakes as you're moving.
Of course, nothing beats the real thing, taking a real truck out on the open road, and building a driving course at the training facility is still an option. But now this technology is being looked at closely as a way to train drivers of all types in the city. For more information, visit bouldercolorado.gov/fire rescue/fire station 8. We hear a lot of talk about climate change and the need to cut down on harmful emissions. But Boulder has put words into action, setting new community-wide goals that will set the city on a course towards 100% clean, renewable electricity.
There's just too many of us using energy and resources now that we can't continue to do it in that way.
Senior environmental planner Brett Kincairn says the city has set new goals to run on 100% renewable electricity by 2030.
We need to change our energy systems. We need to figure out how we can manage ecosystems in a more productive and sustainable way.
The city will also aim for an 80% reduction in greenhouse gas emissions, below 2005 levels by 2050, moving beyond our dependence on fossil fuels.
And we need to use fewer natural resources and actually find ways to reuse the things that we're using.
2030, 2050, these deadlines sound so far off. Brett says it's just not so.
It's really the changes that we make in the next 5 to 15 years that are the significant ones. If we wait until 2040 to start making these changes, it'll be too late.
Too late for what exactly? For that, I went to NOAA, the National Oceanic and Atmospheric Administration, and spoke to senior scientist Peter Tans to see just how Boulder fits into this global ecosystem.
As long as we continue to emit it, CO2 will continue to rise.
Tans and his fellow researchers make carefully calibrated measurements from locations all over the globe.
We are quite certain of the data that we produce.
He says this year global levels of CO2 passed 400 parts per million.
And that is kind of a milestone because we know from ice cores going back 800,000 years that the Earth has never been above, say, 300 ppm.
And it's not just the amount of CO2, it's also the rate it's increasing.
So 200 times faster than what happened when the Earth was left to its own devices before we intervened, so to speak. I can only say this, that what we have seen now so far is peanuts compared to what could be happening if we continue to emit CO2 even at present rates.
And while one city cannot change the face of the entire planet, Tans insists every person can do their part.
7 billion of us. And collectively, we emit so much. We are overwhelming the natural carbon cycle. So what it means is everybody has to do whatever they can. We all have to make our contribution.
For more information on the city's ongoing climate and energy goals, visit boulderclimate.com. Every December, our military vets are honored with wreath-laying ceremonies all over the world, and Boulder is no exception. It's part of National Wreaths Across America Day, taking place at Arlington National Cemetery, as well as more than 1,100 locations across America, at sea and abroad. Boulder's Columbia Cemetery will be a part of this year's coordinated ceremonies, and you're invited. More than 70 volunteers and Honor Guard members from local police and fire agencies will place 675 wreaths at veterans' graves at area cemeteries in Broomfield, Louisville, and Boulder. The Broomfield Rotary Club 1093 partnered with Home Depot and the Home Depot Foundation to raise money and provide the wreaths. For more information on this cause and how you can get involved, visit wreathsacrossamerica.org, #JoinUs. And those wishing to volunteer locally can contact John O'Hare with the Broomfield Rotary at 303-464-0330. Thank you so much for watching this week's edition of Inside Boulder News. If you have pictures, news tips, or events you'd like to see featured, we'd love to hear from you. Connect with us on Facebook and Twitter. You can also sign up to receive video updates right in your inbox. Just go to boulderchannel8.com and click on subscribe.